Miami, Fort Lauderdale. This is Eyewitness News NightBeat, South Florida's #1 late news.
He was sentenced to life behind bars for shooting his 3-year-old daughter.
I lost my child, I lost my family. I was in prison for what I thought would be the rest of my life. Yeah, I think I'm matured.
Tonight, a father who said he killed for the love of his little girl is a free man. After 10 years behind bars, Charles Griffith spent the day getting used to freedom.
For the first time since his release, he's talking about the desperate act that sent him to prison. It's the story of a father driven to kill, an act he says was motivated by his love for his brain-damaged daughter. With tonight's big story, reporter Liz Reyes has more on Griffith's first day of freedom.
I'm glad to be out. I felt like a tourist. You know, I kept telling myself to close my mouth so they'd walk around looking at everything. It was nice.
Nice to be out of jail, says Charles Griffith, after a decade behind bars for shooting his brain-damaged 3-year-old daughter, Joy, a child who was critically injured after her head became caught in a reclining chair like this one in 1985. Griffith has always maintained he shot Joy because he couldn't accept her bleak future.
I watched my child lay in a chronic vegetative state with holes cut in her throat for a machine to breathe for her, and I believed what I did at the time. At that time, I believed I was doing the right thing. I did not do the right thing. No one has a right to take a life but God. I was wrong.
Griffith was released as part of a plea agreement after a judge recently ruled he didn't receive a fair trial. Prosecutors then allowed him to plead guilty to the lesser charge of second-degree murder.
This is where Griffith came shortly after his release from prison, to the cemetery where his child is buried. It's here he spent some time at his daughter's grave.
I thanked her for watching over me while I was in prison. I told her I was sorry we weren't going to be able to do all the things I had planned on us doing together.
Griffith still faces 6 years of probation. He says his future plan is to return to school.
As long as Charles understands the rules and regulations, and they are very strict for him, I don't expect there will be any more legal problems that Charles will have.
What's really amazing about this case is that he could have gone free sooner than now. His current attorney tells me Griffith's first lawyer convinced him he wouldn't be convicted of first-degree murder and didn't let him know he could have pleaded guilty to a lesser charge. Had Griffith done that, he might have gone free a couple of years ago. Christy?
Interesting day. All right, thanks, Liz. It was a horrifying murder, the brazen daytime shooting death of a boat designer extraordinaire, Don Aronow. Eyewitness News has learned exclusively the case is one step closer to being closed now. Last Friday, career criminal Robert Young, who's been sitting in jail for 5 years, charged with Aronow's murder, pled guilty and was sentenced to 19 years in prison. Aronow was gunned down in February of 1987 on Thunderboat Alley, a street known for its fast speedboats, many of which Aronow designed and built. Still waiting a trial date is rival boat builder Ben Kramer, who is suspected of hiring Young to kill Aronow.
Police are looking for at least one suspect responsible for 3 murders in 2 different cities. Police in Boca Raton found Mark Rizzuto dead inside his apartment on Monday. It turns out Rizzuto knew Vincent D'Angola, who was also found shot to death inside his Fort Lauderdale apartment along with this woman, his girlfriend, Jamie Schneider. Police still aren't exactly sure how the 3 victims knew each other. A Fort Lauderdale man remains behind bars tonight, charged with possession of child pornography and delivery of a controlled substance. 2 teenage boys alerted police to 33-year-old Leland Smith after he allegedly lured them into his van and offered them drugs. When police searched Smith's van, they found foot stirrups, a mirror, a bed, a VCR, and 6 videos containing children performing sexual acts.
University of Miami police are at the center of an investigation involving 2 football players. Players Ray Lewis and Danielle Ferguson are accused of assaulting 2 different women, but in both cases, neither player was ever arrested. One victim says police refused to file a report. Former campus officers also claim there's an unwritten policy not to arrest any football players. The school's president insists preferential treatment is not given to athletes. A tremendous outpouring of support tonight for Kendrick English, that high school football player partially paralyzed on the field. Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Weinsteer was there as friends and fellow athletes turned out to help English on his road to recovery.
The phones began ringing at 8 o'clock, and for 3 hours they didn't stop. Among those taking pledges, Kendrick's teammates, some coming here from Kendrick's bedside.
He told me, stay strong for him, things like that.
I just hope that we can raise as much money as possible for Kendrick.
Last month, Kendrick English sat on the Comcast Cable sports talk show set, talking about his love for football. Tonight, the best in South Florida sports came here to...
And just letting Kendrick know that our prayers are with him and that we care about him.
A 3-hour telethon for Kendrick, the Stranahan linebacker, number 52, was partially paralyzed as he tried to tackle an opponent.
I just want him to understand that we're all here supporting him and that he has so many more things he can do with his life.
His family and all his friends, and for him is just to be as positive as you possibly can and you know, work as hard as you can. And you can see tonight everybody's coming out.
Some callers pledging money, others bidding on baseball bats, jerseys, boxing gloves, each one signed and donated. All the money raised will be used for Kendrick's future to buy the expensive equipment he will need down the line. Kendrick was injured while tackling Bob Hunt's son, and it is Hunt that set up Kendrick's trust fund.
As a parent and all the parents that are out there whose kids ever played football, this is the worst injury that you can imagine. This is the worst dream, nightmare that can come true.
Yesterday afternoon, Kendrick saying thanks to the community.
To thank his friends, his football team, and God.
This telethon pumped into 500,000 homes right here in South Florida. Among the viewers tonight, Kendrick himself, watching from Broward General Medical Center. Jeff Weinzer, Channel 10 Eyewitness News on the Night Beat.
And the telethon ended just a few minutes ago. So far, $50,000 has been raised and the phones are still ringing.